Nice recording. Welcome to this April 2025 Grafana Beyla community call. So, is there any topic you would like to discuss? I've seen you active lately, Pratek and Thomas. So, I guess you both would like to or have any topic to discuss. Whoever wants to go first.
I will go first. Um,
Okay.
since I completely started last week new with Bela, I did have some issues with the documentation, specifically the structure. So, like all the options are documented and they're quite well documented actually. Uh, but I was having issues pointing each section into a specific location in the YAML configuration. And I had to go back to the source code to actually look how the configuration structure is looking. And I thought maybe adding a full
Mm,
configuration with all the options would be a good help for new users. So they have
okay.
like their full configuration there and can just go look, where is it placed? How should it be? And maybe add a few comments in there. Uh, that would be for everyone who does not know how it actually looks like a great help, I think.
Yeah, actually, it will be very useful. I guess, like in other projects, that you mean getting the whole configuration sample with comments, right?
Like with Helm charts, like in Helm charts, you
Yeah.
usually have everything commented out, but you have the full
Okay.
configuration available,
Mhm.
and to have that also on the Grafana website. I mean,
Yeah, totally makes total sense. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think it's a very good idea.
that's just something I noticed, and in like past week, and maybe had it 6, 7 times where I thought, oh, where is it not supposed to go? And I had to really go dig in the source code and figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Documentation, we are improving it steadily, but there are still many parts to improve. So yeah, your input is very welcome. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And the second thing, I guess, was the one I sent you before, which I just created, about the service name. And I put a small example there, specifically thinking now actually about the Helm charts provided by Grafana. Like you have the tempo distributed, locate distributed, Mimir distributed. And when you're using those Helm charts with Bela, every component has the same service name. So you're losing all of the service graph and linking up between the services because the service name is the same for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I will need to look in detail into the chart, because I guess the chart is mm, is not setting the same. Okay, in Bela now we are using, if you don't set the labels, the OpenTelemetry or Kubernetes labels for the service name, Bela will take the owner name as service name. So probably if a deployment, if Loki is deployed, if for example distributed Loki is deployed as a single deployment, all the pods will be named, as you mentioned, with the same service name. So yeah, that's right. So my advice will be, and I guess this is possible, to set different. My advice will be to send different labels or specific labels for each of the Helm components. I get that this is something that should be improved at the Tempo side or Loki side. On the other side, it's true that having more flexibility to set or to add extra fields to the service name will be helpful. I wouldn't say the pod name because at the end the pod name is just the
No, no.
deployment name with some gibberish, but being able to attach container name or some prefix, yeah, that
I'm
that can be
specifically
helpful.
thinking about the component. because you have in the the Helm charts are using the field already component. So you have the distributor ingest whatever I wrote there else as a component label. So it's probably already enough to take the name and attach the component to it, and then you already get the service graph correctly, I believe.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it's something we can. I think you already submitted a feature request, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's something we can evaluate. Yeah, yes, like taking a given label. Yeah, in also we should see if there is something that could be improved, not only for Beyla but for other instrumentation. Is only that could be improved in the tempo distributed or locally distributed Helm charts. Yeah, we will see if there's something can be improved there to be able to not get this unique name for all the components, whatever you are using, not only Beyla but other instrumentation. Mhm. Yeah. So any comment from any other comment from Grafana side about that? Or you want more context about the issue, the discussion?
I'm good.
Yeah, me too. I know that you have one outstanding issue that I was looking for Thomas about the nesting for PHP FPM events. There still seems to be some bug. But Thomas sent me the logs, so I should be able to look at it.
Right in the minutes. Cool. So yeah, any other topic to discuss? Thomas,
So
Pratek.
I do not have any like feature suggestion as of now, but I just wanted to bring this to team's attention that I have picked a feature to implement. I'm comparatively very new to the project itself, but like I'm learning through the code base, and I'll just drop the link. And I had a few questions, but they were answered in Slack, so I'm not like blocked. I'm currently working on the PR, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about this. Like, yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah, great.
It is about being able to see HTTP request headers in the like traces that are being collected by the eBPF collectors. So like initially we were only working with trace parent headers, but now we like there's a feature request that it would be nice if we could see content type or user agent headers in the spans. So I'm currently working on implementing it somehow. So in Slack, I asked a question about the size of these headers, because unlike trace parent headers, size of these headers is like variable. It's not fixed by the specification. So Nicola replied that I should start with like 128 characters to begin with and see how it pans out. So yeah,
I actually have a comment to that. Because we are using PHP debug bar, and that is getting crazy at some point, so it's adding headers like with 8K, 16K, and more in the response specifically. So it does happen.
But do you want those?
No, I would not want those anywhere.
That's what I thought.
It's just an issue which we had that Nginx can't process them in the backwards. way, and then the request fails. So I know it's happening, not that like Beyla will fail with correlation afterwards. Then.
Yeah.
Should we make the list of headers configurable, like a filter, so it just picks up the headers you specified instead? Would that be a middle ground? I don't know, compromise?
Yeah, but it's going to be hard to implement. Oh, actually, no. Since we're doing it in user space, maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah, then it's going to be a filter. Yeah.
I guess we are storing all of them in eBPF and then filter them in user space, right?
Is this how we're gonna go about it? I mean, I hadn't seen the issue before.
Yeah, I have some questions about how that will affect memory of our internal eBPF maps, because currently we are only storing transparent. But if we store all the headers of all the requests or responses, how that could be affect the internal memory, and also whether we should ask or we'll add new cleanup mechanisms just to avoid that keeps growing and growing.
Yeah, that's a super valid point in my opinion. And if you think about it, we need to have, I don't know, like I don't know particularly. Have you thought of how you're implementing this?
So the initial plan was to like collect the headers in the eBPF space, like kernel space, and filter it out in the user space. But like the concern is actually like real, because it will affect the memory. Because all the headers will be written on the ring buffer and it'll be too much.
Yeah. So maybe, I mean, this is a good gut feeling only. The way I would approach this would be to try to get the headers in eBPF first, like scan the headers and see exactly what we want. But that has the downside or the flip side that this is expensive, because we're just like we paste a transparent header, we're gonna have to do some kind of magic there. It gets a little bit more complicated. So first, from where I'm standing only, I don't know the answer to that. If I were to approach this, I would probably try to do both and compare them and have to measure in actual data instead of just guessing. Obviously, we have a good gut feeling, and Mario has, and you guys have a very valid point. I mean, if you're shipping all of these, you're gonna fill in the read buffer. There's also all the latency of copy from kernel space into user space. That's gonna also cause CPU issues. So if I were to take a wild guess, I would still think that doing it in eBPF might be slightly faster, just because you don't have this context switch from kernel space to user space, the copying to read buffer. But yeah, I can't say that without measuring.
No, but it won't be easy, because first of all, you like for Go we're fine, but for non-Go we have to have BPF loop, and then you have to do this pattern matching and then copying and storing into some additional buffers, like extracting things. Like, and at the end of the day, you still have to ship them to user space, and majority of stuff is just going to be pairs of these buffers. And then if you have to create a list, then it's even more complicated. Now, for every list you create, you have to go check this map of, is this header allowed? Then you go and keep on doing. But if people don't put a list of required, and then they say everything, you're still going to copy all the memory to user space. You're just going to do the walk in an eBPF.
I was thinking more of having like a hash map where is this header allowed, as you said. Once you think of HTTP requests, right? Let's say outgoing, the same way that we write transparent on some sort of socket message program, ingress or egress. When the same way we scan for the boundary for where to write and extend the packet, I would scan for the column and then have a view. You're not copying memory, right? You just have a view on that actual packet memory. and use that as a map key. Maybe you do need to copy the key, I don't know. And then, okay, is this allowed? Then if you find this, the end of line and copy the data. And then you do that for each line of the headers until you find the end of the HTTP headers. But there's problems with that, as you say. There's also problems if you have a header with a big a string and then you're trading everything. So it's a difficult problem. I don't know the answer. Like that's what I said.
I think
You
maybe
need to prototype something.
Maybe the easiest is to just store them in a map and then query the map straight up from user space. Like we have a unique key maybe by the connection, and then once the event comes on the ring buffer, we hit a map, say, do we have headers for it? Then we pull it in or something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
so then we don't pollute the ring buffer. We just store the map, the memory, and then we pull it out. If there's headers, there's headers. If there's not, okay.
So like, just to be clear, it's like suggesting that we create a new map just for the headers, and then we can like query it on the user space depending on what the headers user selected.
And that way it would be easy to disable if people don't want it. They don't want to pay the extra overhead of parsing the headers.
Cool.
Yeah, you can just say, don't do this part.
I'm not too convinced on that, but yeah, I think ultimately, we gotta try it. Try and see how it goes, right?
Yeah, I think parsing in the eBPF would be faster if people wanted one header out of the 20. But if they wanted all headers, which is what some of the other products that, closed source do out there, which they capture as many headers, then you copy the memory no matter what. So then in that case, it's much better to do it in user space. For user space, we can write tests. We can provide the logic for parsing the headers is all there. And mind you, we used to have this feature in the past where we would say copy the request buffer. So we would grab the whole request buffer, would go and we will push it on a ring buffer. We disabled it because it was too expensive. But we used to grab a much bigger chunk of memory than than what we do today. It was like if you ran that on anything that was like, I don't know, even a little bit more serious, it would just Beyla CPU would grow up pretty significantly.
How much did you copy? Did you copy the whole HTTP request or just the first 8K
for
the header?
I think we did the first K actually.
Okay.
And even that was, I mean, you can clearly see the overhead, and I don't know. I think there's still some remnants maybe in the code of that existing there, or some comments being left around for that, unless we clean them up. But there used to be code that was pretty much just copying I'm not talking about the Go side, which is what you're doing, Pratik, but I was talking about the other applications. In that case, we were just sending all the data to user space and then parsing it there.
There is another thing to bear in mind as well. That's why it's going to be important to really measure this. For doing this into like, regardless of the approach, we still need to find the headers and copy if everything, right? Put into a map, right? That's what you suggesting, right? You find the header.
No, I'm just saying we don't even bother with that. We just copy the start of the request. It doesn't have to be the headers. We grab the URL and we go up to 1K and just let it be. If
where is that? Like TC like K probes, like that's I guess that's what I'm asking, because okay, K probes might be better, because if you do this in like such message, you have RTC.
You have to pull.
You need to do this. You need to pull the whole thing, and once I measured it, the BPF pull data, it's very slow. It's very, 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 very slow. Like, so the SKB read and store load bytes and store bytes is much faster in that regard. So anyhow, bottom line is we gotta measure. Like, try it, prototype it, and measure, and see what comes out of it.
So firstly, I should try the ring approach and then map approach as well. Like, what are we trying to compare it then?
I mean, either way is fine. If you write the initial approach with ring buffer, that's okay, and then we can optimize from there. whatever is easiest for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Any other topic to discuss? Auto donation, repo. I can do a status report on the auto donation, even if many of you already know it. We got a due diligence. We accept all the terms of that due diligence. And last week in KubeCon, talking with some hotel community members, they asked us to start moving the code to a new repository under the OpenTelemetry umbrella and start doing there all the refactors that are required. Probably we need to remove some, we will need to remove some features. So probably we will need to keep those features, those removed features in the Grafana Beyla repository and link the code in the outer repository, maybe as a library. We have asked already for a new repository. We will need to get. We will let me share the petition here. We will need to get the repository done, the approval. So I guess this is in process. I created an issue, sharing here, and also pasting in the minutes. There are some aspects that we will need to be careful. I guess that it is unavoidable that during some period, both repositories will diverge and run in parallel. For example, doing some refactorings on one repository in the other repository, while the Beyla repository is still adding new features and bug fixes that at some point will need to be ported. We should manage to make this period as short as possible, but there is still some risk there of duplicating efforts, diverging to code bases. Any other topic? So if not, maybe we can close this community call.
Yeah, thanks you guys for joining.
Yeah, thank you a lot for joining and also for contributing. It's much
Yeah.
appreciated.
Yeah, the more the merrier. Yeah, cool.
Have a nice evening or day.
Yeah,
Okay.
you guys
Next time,
have-
yeah. Okay.
See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.